Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Shock and Awe podcast, arguably the most dangerous commentary show on BEYONCE'S internet. I am your host, Mr. Robbie Hollywood, and what a show we got for you this week. City Girls are up 9,000 points this summer, and they not looking like they're slowing down at all. We will go through a list of some of the fallen soldiers we've lost this week. Although a tough week for the City Boys, we did manage to put up some considerable points on the board in rather unconventional fashion. The Jonathan Majors case takes a weird turn, and we'll do a deep dive in the consequences of false accusations. And your goofy of the week is a man with no regard for human life or inflation. Find out who and much more on this week's episode of the Shock and Awe podcast. Gentlemen, City Girls are out for blood this summer and they're not taking any prisoners. It is time that we arm ourselves and prepare for war. It started with the unfathomably tragic news of Remy Ma cheating on Papoose. Jesse, the receipts.
Okay, you guys, so Remy Ma and Papoose could possibly be over and done for good. And this is all because Remy Ma allegedly cheated on Papoose with Easy, the block captain. Now, not only did Remy Ma allegedly cheat with him, it's being said that Papoose actually put him to sleep.
And I walked past, I see Papoose, and it was kind of like an aggressive motion, and Papoose swing. Next thing I know, Easy was on the floor and there was a lot of commotion and people were running out of the room. Remy came in, her security came behind her, and then they closed the door and they were arguing. He did go night-night. Papoose put Easy, the block captain, to sleep last night.
If this is true and Easy, the block captain, slid up in Remy Ma, put her ankles behind her neck.
So not only did they have an eyewitness account of Papoose putting paws on Easy, the block captain, fans also noticed that Remy Ma did not wish Papoose a happy Father's Day, and Papoose posted himself with his kids, no Remy Ma in sight, on his IG page. And he put the caption, "Family is everything, hashtag Happy Father's Day." Now, Remy Ma and Papoose met in 2004. Remy actually went to jail in 2008. She had an 8-year sentence. And Papoose really loves Remy because he married her while she was in jail, waited for her to get out of jail, and they've been rocking ever since. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Remy got out in 2014. So from 2008 to 2014, Papoose was waiting on her. And that says a lot because ain't no man about to do all that if he's not really truly in love with the woman. Now, it's no telling what was going on within their marriage. Of course, every couple has problems, but it seems like for him to knock that man out, I don't know. I'm kind of believing the rumors.
This is our lemonade moment. This is the male equivalent of Jay-Z cheating on Beyonce. This man, who famous in his own right, with a wide array of possible female companions, waited 6 years as Remy paid her debt to society. Now, a lot of you are going to say, oh, no, Robbie, they had an understanding. He could do his thing until she got out. And to you, I say rubbish. Jesse, the receipts.
Check it out, yo. Google me, I'm well known in the Big Apple, AT&T. Reach out and touch you, I get at you, making M's like McDonald's. I'm a hustler too, so I gotta flip that over and get the W. You subbing on Instagram. One day, you gon' speak direct instead of the subway. Wearing gators, sipping Gatorade. Brand new polo, it was red, white, and blue like the Pepsi logo. Thieves obey they thirst like Sprite. No, I got the hammer. I was gambling in Las Vegas at the Tropicana. They fall like dominoes when I pop those shells. I'm universal. My name ring taco bells. Ship Coca-Cola, UPS. Get stars buck better. Netflix and chill for you be next. We be on the paper chase. they ain't lasting long, so I told them this ain't a sprint, this a marathon. I got it for the low like eBay and Amazon, so I stay fly like Delta with my carry-on, and US Bank with my Visa and MasterCard. All of my pieces stay hitting like Barry Bonds. The bug make me wiser, I'm the Oracle, check it. Leave them in a state of shock, this general is electric. Tools like Home Depot, inject the cartridge. Bought a weapon from Walmart, you just a target. Riding in a Tesla, street mogul. So even if it's a fraud, every man on my team mobile. I shine like a spectrum when your light goes off. Always acting like you hard, but you Microsoft. Somebody must have gassed you up like Exxon. For some reason you think you slick. Chevron, I see you got my name in your mouth like Colgate. You starting with a G like Gillette, yeah, okay. I'm blood related to money, it's all dandy. Give my Uncle Wells Fargo a check. He gon' clear me, this American expressed itself. I talk clearly, heard in every bank of America. The world hear me, make sure I pay my pals, make money, pill off daily. They all post me on their Facebook, they gon' share me, I got 2 twin cousins. Man of them boys fancy, got the same name. JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley. Now I got fish on my dish, no more candy. Linked in with the right people, they all fear me. My reign on the top was progressive before Sandy. Eat these rappers up like Chipotle, my thoughts scary. You boys hear me? Yo, they know what I entail, I'm the wisest. They used to wear wires, now snitches is wireless like Verizon. United we stand, we fall if we divided. Click on my YouTube, hope you subscribing. I'm riding in a ghost like Snapchat. We lay back, then we just turn the music up to the TJ Maxx, PNC, punching non-rappers right in they chin. I'm an immortal bar master. IBM, conquering verses strategically. CVS, I'ma kill it when I perform at South by Southwest. She gave you 7 humps and 11 kisses, she couldn't stand you. So she only gave you 2 humps like a camel. My Marlboro homies from Coney Island ablaze. Hater salty cause I got more chips than Lays. I got her sweating out her Estee Lauder. Killed the KFCs, L's and M's, alphabetical slaughter.
Do you know why boxers don't have sex for weeks before a big fight? It's because the excess testosterone from not ejaculating sharpens the mind quite considerably. That is the kind of freestyle that can only be spat by a man sitting on a 6-year-old nut. I bet you it got so bad at some point the doctor told Papoose he could no longer sleep on his back out of fear that the nut might roll down his abdomen and choke him in his sleep. And she cheated on him with the Wish version of Papoose with bad teeth. Ugh. And that about a bitch. If she at least had the decency to cheat on him with Drake, sure, it would have hurt just as much. But at least he could have snagged a Vlad TV interview out of it. Which obviously makes this an aggravating factor in this case, elevating the charge from cheating to betrayal. Because see, women by nature are hypergamous, meaning that they date across and up. Remy descended to the gutters. Not only out of all forms of common sense and decency, but also her true nature as a woman. This is beyond trifling. It is borderline criminal. Oh, but the city girls weren't done. They were not done. The blogs caught fire this week when a video of Kiki Palmer mooning the world in a scandalous outfit at an Usher concert hit the airwaves. Just see the receipts. that video, the father of Kiki's child, a young man by the name of Darius Jackson, tweeted the following. The tweet said, "It's the outfit for me, though. You're a mom." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when the dams of the internet broke. Every woman and simp from London to South Sudan came out of the woodworks to call this young man insecure and abusive. Oh, how dare you tell a woman embracing her postpartum curves what to wear, you misogynistic monster. First of all, that whole postpartum body argument makes no sense to me. Yes, Akila had bee stings most of her life. But these newly acquired titties are for breastfeeding, not for shaking in Usher's face. Then there is the whole, oh, he should have had this conversation with her in private. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. She embarrassed him publicly. She will take her talking to publicly. Unless, of course, she left the house appropriately dressed. Then somewhere between the house and the concert, she slid into a phone booth and transformed into Superho. Then at that point, my man has bigger problems, which should be discussed in a lawyer's office or a therapist's couch. But see, I'm of the school of thought that he was more upset about her demeanor with Usher than the actual dress itself. Kiki, you are 5 months postpartum. There are still remnants of stitches on the cooch. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand as a parent the need to go out and blow off a little steam from time to time. But there is a difference between blowing off a little steam and keep peeing in Usher's face like you don't got a man in your kitchen right now pouring your breast milk on his wrist to check the temperature. Imagine waking up to 600 Twitter mentions on a video of your lady double cheeked up, salivating over Usher like a thirsty Doberman. Ugh. Look, what you call insecurity is a man's natural God-given revulsion for signs of promiscuity in his woman. It's like that feeling you get when you're about to bite into a rotten apple. Your stomach turns and your mouth begins to water with disgust. Even the most liberated and secure amongst us, according to your standards. Like the good brother ADAM22 at the No Jumper podcast, who in a moment of extreme feminist allyship allowed for this Dragon Ball Z character to pound his wife's guts to butter. All in a show of support for her OnlyFans career. Oh, what a gem of a man. Liberals, I give you your Ubermensch. But see, even him, this multi-millionaire many times over, who could have bought his wife a chain of hair salons or a Mercedes dealership if all she wanted to do was work, but instead gave her the space she needed to chase her dreams of a throat full of man juice. Even him, this profile and courage of a man, even him is not immune to the ick. Jesse, the receipts.
Are you ready for my announcement?
This is Samoan work.
I would like to share this with you.
Oh, yeah, come on, cuz.
All right. And I feel like Destiny might have a perspective on this. But so I've been with my girl for 7 years. We just got married. We're not in an open relationship, but from a porn perspective, we shoot with other girls, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But no other guys is busting her coochie and asshole.
Well, you guessed it. Over the weekend,
Oh no.
Something like that happened.
she filmed her first ever scene with another man.
I know you was mad.
Shit.
You was angry.
I agreed to it, so I wasn't. I say angry might not be the word.
But you was kind of like disappointed a little bit. Like, you vibe like her, that's your cinch.
You know, I agreed to
hood.
it. She gave me a lot of outs on the way in. Like, she kind of kept telling me, like, if you don't want me to, I won't do it.
You should
know?
have said no.
I said that I wanted her to do it. I'm like,
on top of millions of dollars, Adam. You didn't have to do that shit.
fair enough. But I told her, I'm like, I think you should do it. Let's get it out the way.
So how do you vibe about it now?
She's
Do I
32.
need to get you an old English?
No, yeah, I don't need to drown the pain in Old English. But I was kind of surprised because I feel like I can like intellectualize it, and from my perspective, I don't think it should be a big deal. Yeah. But then after she actually did it, I'm not gonna lie, I did feel kind of.
So, why do men find signs of promiscuity in their women so intrinsically off-putting? It's because through 3 million years of hominid evolution, we have only had DNA testing for a little over 80. That means for the remaining 2,999,920 years, all we could rely on in order to ensure that that child in your womb is ours is what evolutionary psychologists refer to as mate guarding. And for those women and soy boys who are going to be all over the comments talking about, oh, we're not cavemen anymore, blah, blah, blah. Look, granted, fine. Yes, we have iPhones and airplanes. But that does not take away from the fact that we're still running a 3 million-year-old software. And until you come to peace with that fact and learn how it works, so you can work alongside it and not against it, we will always find ourselves having these circular arguments. It's the same software, for example, that makes women rank 6 feet tall, broad-shouldered millionaires at the top of the male hierarchy, although we live in a world where they can make their own money, and we have such protection services as the police. Hence why if you're a scrawny bum that plays video games all day, your choices of a potential mate are very limited. But the entitlement has reached such a nauseating level that even a man like Jonah Hill, who by all possible matrix is at the top of the male echelon, even him cannot express any form of preferences, regardless of how politely, in a woman he wants to spend the rest of his life with. Because otherwise, he's met with insult, anger, and vitriol. Ladies, all you're doing is making it harder and harder every day to secure that commitment that you want from us. You have decided to label any and all requests of basic respect and decency for yourself and your partner as misogyny. You say that there are no good men left. But the sad truth is, many of you refuse to rise to the level of being a good woman. And that is why, until further notice, these boys will keep clapping those cheeks and putting you in an Uber because they are providers of transportation to and from a life of dick appointments. Absolutely preposterous. It was not all else for us this week, though, gentlemen. We still managed to put some big points on the board, and I'm talking big. Despite the unwavering onslaught we suffered at the hand of the city girls this week. Great news came out of the Netherlands. a biological man by the name of Keke Palmer managed to snag Miss Netherlands 2023 and will now go on to compete in the Miss Universe pageant. Woo! City boys, city boys. Jesse, the glorious receipts.
All right, I got to show you this. Some of the most beautiful women in the world are from the Netherlands, so it only makes sense that Miss Netherlands 2023 was awarded to a biological man. Trans woman Ricky Valerie Colley is the first male to win the female title in 94 years. I think, Caleb, that's because it didn't occur to anyone until about 3 minutes ago to award the best-looking female to a biological man. Ricky will now go on to compete in Miss Universe.
Wow. Just wow. You know, this confirms a notion that I feel we all knew deep down. And that notion is the fact that no one, and I mean no one, does womanhood better than a man. Wow. I mean, from beauty pageants to female sports, we are shattering female glass ceilings left, right, and center. What a roster of rock stars we got on our hand, gentlemen. Starting with none other than the MVP herself, Dylan Mulvaney, who, aside from the whole little Bud Light debacle, was a woman for all of 221 days when she was picked to interview Joe Biden at the White House in celebration of International Women's Day. Come on. I mean, you've been a woman for 35 and you can barely get your podcast off the ground. You're in over your head, toots. This is the big league. You can't keep up. Go make me a sandwich. Yeah. When was the last time that you saw a topless woman on the lawn of the White House? The answer is never. We were first. Because we're brave and we're not afraid to whip out our tits and get motorboated by senators because we're men and we can. And of course, I won't go through the roster. I would be remiss if I did not mention the GOAT herself. One of the greatest men to ever play the game of woman ball. I am talking about Lady Liberty herself. 2015 Glamour Magazine Woman of the Year, Caitlyn Jenner. Let's go. So confident in her womanhood, she never even bothered to stop pulling bad bitches. You know why? Because all she needs in this life of sin is her wig and her jockstrap. She contended against some of the most accomplished women in the world to win that Woman of the Year title. And she came out on top like a real man would. We watched her with tears in our eyes as she walked up to that stage to accept that award, to the sound of her high heels and her meat aggressively smacking her inner thighs. And when she raised that trophy to the sky with her Adam's apple held high, I was reminded of Neil Armstrong's famous words. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Absolutely preposterous. Moving on. The New York Times reported this week that the NYPD now has enough evidence to charge Jonathan Major's ex-girlfriend for her role in the incident that led to his arrest back in March. Jesse, the receipts.
5 weeks before actor Jonathan Majors is set to face trial in New York City for misdemeanor assault charges, the New York Times is reporting that police believe there is enough evidence to support the arrest of his accuser for her role in the incident. The Creed 3 and Ant-Man star has repeatedly denied abuse allegations. Joining us to discuss it is Christopher Brown. He's managing member of Brown and Rosen Law Firm and an entertainment law professor at Boston College Law School. Thanks for being with us. Just to kind of refresh and set the table, take us back to March and how this incident started.
Well, this case is about a domestic dispute that led to misdemeanor charges of third-degree assault, second-degree harassment. Mr. Majors was subsequently arrested and charged.
Okay, so how significant is it that we're learning the police are reportedly investigating the accuser as well?
That's of great significance. It could mean a rushed judgment occurred in this case. It could mean that Mr. Majors is innocent of the crimes in which it is alleged in which he committed. It could also mean that this is a false allegation from the very start, which would also have various ramifications for Mr. Majors as well as the accuser.
Okay, so let's take that a step further. What would be the ramifications if it turns out it was a false charge?
Well, if someone files a false report, that in and of itself is a crime. It's a misdemeanor. It's perjury. And when you look at the fact that Mr. Majors has already lost management because of it, he's lost other business because of it, the accuser could potentially have liability for filing a false report if that is indeed what happened.
Very serious thing to do. Okay.
So let me get this straight. You not only cost this man tens of millions of dollars in film and endorsement deals, you sullied his good name to the point of disrepair where he will now have to spend the remainder of his life defending himself against your lies, all because he was leaving you for Megan Good, and all you get is a fine? First of all, ma'am, it's Megan Good, okay? There are just certain fights you shouldn't bother taking on because they are unwinnable. Letting Megan Good take your man is the equivalent of giving up your seat to a pregnant woman on the bus. It's the Christian thing to do. The gentleman in the interview mentioned that she could face civil liabilities for the financial damages that she has caused. Houseway, the wench is penniless. Even if he garnished every penny she is to make in this lifetime and the next, all the way to her grandchildren allowance, it will still not make even a dent in the past and future losses this man has suffered and will continue to suffer. So how should these kinds of egregious miscarriages of justice be righted? I'm going to share with you the story of a man by the name of Joshua Horner. Horner was sentenced to 50 years in prison for sexually assaulting a minor. The girl in question took the stand during Horner's trial and said under oath that Horner shot her dog as an intimidation tactic if she spoke of the abuse. Horner also took the stand in his own defense and vehemently denied all allegations that this young woman was making. He was still found guilty and sentenced to 50 years in prison. Lo and behold, about a year and a half into Horner's 50-year sentence, this happened. Jesse, the receipts.
Oregon man sentenced to 50 years in prison is making national headlines after walking away a free man. So what led to his case getting dismissed? Believe it or not, a dog. Listen to how this all unfolded. Josh Horner was convicted last April of sexually abusing a minor. During the trial, the girl said Horner threatened to shoot her animals if she told police about the alleged molestation. Well, she testified under oath that she saw Horner shoot and kill her dog to make his point. Horner insisted he didn't do that. After his conviction, he asked the Oregon Innocence Project for help, and yesterday they found the black lab living with its new owner in Gearhart. The Deschutes County District Attorney says finding Lucy proved the girl lied under oath, so the judge dismissed the case.
Well, I cannot say with certainty that Mr. Horner did not sexually abuse the named victim. I can say I'm not convinced by a preponderance of the available evidence that he did, and I'm certainly not convinced beyond a reasonable doubt.
The Oregon Innocence Project is currently working on 5 other projects across the state. This is its first ever exoneration.
So I did a little further digging because this whole story sounded outlandish to me. And turns out that the girl in question is Horner's 13-year-old daughter, who he shared custody of with his ex-wife. When Horner got engaged to a woman his ex-wife disapproved of, she talked the child into making these salacious accusations against her own father. The fact alone that neither the DA's office nor the defense team bothered to check if the goddamn dog was actually dead is not only flabbergasting, but extremely infuriating. But here is the kicker. Neither the mother nor the daughter will be charged in this case. They just get to continue living their lives as though they did not just incinerate this man's life to a point of no return. See, sexual assault is without a doubt the worst possible crime that one can commit against another individual because of how it violates and dehumanizes the victim, and because of the lifelong devastation that it causes. But falsely accusing someone of sexual assault is just as heinous of a crime for the same exact reasons. Let's take a second here and break down the ways that a false accuser harms her victims, okay? We're talking about years of false imprisonment. Not to mention that when in prison, he faces the potential of sexual abuse because that is how sex offenders are treated in the penitentiary. His reputation is instantly shredded to pieces. All his personal relationships immediately go down the drain. And if he's married, 99.999% of the time, it ends in divorce. Loss of current and future prospects of employment. Forget about ever finding a half-decent job, even if you get found not guilty. And then you add on the severe emotional and psychological trauma, and that can go on and on and on and on. And that is why, in my book, anyone who will conspire to obliterate another person's life in such a fashion is just as bad as and should, at a minimum, if found guilty, have to serve the exact same sentence the falsely accused individual was facing. I make no more distinctions between a woman who will send a man to prison for a rape he didn't commit and an actual rapist himself. The woman is just as mentally deranged and a threat to society as the most heinous of sex offenders and should be locked away for a long, long, long time. Absolutely preposterous. Our Goofy of the Week this week goes out to a barber out of Los Angeles, California. This screenshot of a text exchange between our Goofy and a potential client has been making the rounds all over social media. Look, as a businessman myself, I am of the school of thought that my price is based on my skill set and not your budget. Granted. But $11.50 for a haircut? That is not only unethical, but it is an act of violence against all that is good and holy. What are you, shaving my sins away? For $11.50? You better be trimming all undesirable parts of my credit report as well. And as a sign of exemplary customer service, name or two of my girl's body count. Anything less is nothing more than robber baron level price gouging. 3 hours? For a fade and a taper? At that rate, you should be ambidextrous with the clippers. 2 at a time. I should be in and out of that chair in 4.5 minutes flat, looking fly as a Kardashian. And as God is my witness, if you charge me $11.50 for a haircut and your phone rings and you pick it up, I am violating you on the spot. I don't care if it's your daughter's school. She will still have the measles when you're done. And I better not. Woo! I better not see you set up no headlamps or ring lights. Because I'm tagging the SEC in your little reel. It's about goddamn time a 3-letter agency took a look at your predatory business practices. Absolutely preposterous. And that'll do for the show this week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, and hit that bell notification button so you know when we're making new content. We're trying to reach 5,000 subscribers before October, and we can't do it without you. Until next week, stay preposterous, my friends.